Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video we're going to look at the GCSE Further Maths topic of differentiation and questions that involve some rearranging before you differentiate them. So just to recap, remember in our previous videos on differentiation and looking at the introduction to differentiation, we looked at the fact that if you've been given that y is equal to x to the power of n, when you differentiate and find dy by dx, or the gradient function, that's equal to nx to the power of n minus 1. So you bring down the power and then you reduce the power by 1. And if there was a coefficient, whenever you're bringing down the power, you times that coefficient by what the power was. Okay, so let's have a look at our first example. So our first question says y is equal to x cubed brackets x minus 8 close brackets. And we've been asked to find dy by dx. Now, if we want to differentiate something like this, what we need to do is we need to expand the brackets first. So we've got the y is equal to x cubed and then in brackets x minus 8. And before we differentiate, we want to expand the brackets here. So we're going to multiply everything in the bracket by x cubed. So it means that y would be equal to, so x cubed times x is x to the power of 4. And then x cubed times minus 8 would be minus 8x cubed. So we've expanded our brackets, now we just need to differentiate. So dy by dx would be equal to, so we bring down the power and reduce the power by 1, and we do it for each of the terms separately. So let's start off with the x to the power of 4. So we'll bring the power down, so that'll be 4x, and then we'll reduce the power by 1, so it was 4, we'll take away 1, so then be 3, so 4x cubed. So that's the first part differentiated. Now let's have a look at the next part. So we've got minus 8, but we're going to bring down the 3, so we're going to times that minus 8 by 3, so that'll be minus 24, so minus 24, and then x, and then we're going to reduce the power by 1, so it was 3, we'll reduce that by 1, so then go to 2, or squared, and that's it. So dy by dx is equal to 4x cubed minus 24x squared, and that's it. So in this question, we need to expand the bracket before we could differentiate. Let's have a look at our next question. So in the next question, we've got the y is equal to, and then in brackets, 2x minus 5, close brackets, squared. And we've been asked to find dy by dx. So again, in this question, what we want to do is we want to expand the brackets. And whenever you get something squared, you're timesing it by itself. So that means that y would be equal to, so it would be the bracket times itself. So I'm going to write the bracket out twice. So 2x minus 5, close brackets, 2x minus 5. Because whenever you've got a bracket squared, you're timesing it by itself. So now we need to expand these two brackets and think back to GCSE Maths and expand on two brackets. We're going to multiply everything in this bracket by 2x, and then we're going to multiply everything in the bracket by negative 5, and then simplify it. So y is equal to, so we're going to do 2x times 2x, that's 4x squared. 2x times minus 5, that's going to be minus 10x. Minus 5 times 2x, that's minus 10x. And minus 5 times minus 5, that's equal to 25, so plus 25. And then y would be equal to 4x squared minus 10x, take away over 10x would be minus 20x, and then we've got our plus 25. So we've expanded our brackets and we've simplified. Now we still need to differentiate, so we need to differentiate now to find dy by dx. So dy by dx is equal to, and I always find, just before I carry on, I find it with these questions it's useful to make sure you're very clear with what each thing is. So I've written y equals, y equals, y equals, just to make sure that I don't accidentally think at any point I've differentiated yet. Now I've written dy by dx, which means that I'm clearly showing now I'm differentiating. So let's differentiate 4x squared to begin with. So we'll bring the power down, so we'll times this 4 by the 2, and we'll get 8x, and then we'll reduce the power by 1. It was 2. When you take away 1, you get 1. I'm not going to write 8x to the power of 1. I'm just going to write 8x. So that's that part done. Then we've got minus 20x. Well, whenever you differentiate minus 20x, you'll just get minus 20. Because remember, if you differentiate something such as 10x, you get 10. 8x, you get 8. Minus 5x is when you differentiate it, you get minus 5. Minus 20x, when you differentiate, you're just going to get that minus 20. And then that's it actually, because now if you differentiate 25, you get 0. Whenever you differentiate constants, you get 0. So that's it. Dy by dx is equal to 8x subtract 20. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so our next question, we've been given that y is equal to 7x to the power of 4 subtract 9x cubed over x. And we've been asked to find dy by dx. So here what we want to do is we want to get rid of this divide by, and actually we can divide both of these terms by x. So we can divide the 7x to the power of 4 by x, and we can divide the minus 9x cubed by x, and then we'll hopefully get something that we can differentiate. So y is equal to, I'm just going to write it out again, 7x to the power of 4 minus 9x cubed over x, and we're going to divide each of these by x. So y is equal to, so 7x to the power of 4 divided by x, well, that'll be 7x cubed, because you're dividing by x, one of the x's would cancel, so you get 7x cubed. Then we've got subtract, and then we're going to divide 9x cubed by x. That'll be then 9x squared. We're just dividing each of them by x. So that means we're just taking them one away from the powers. Remember your laws of indices. If you're dividing things with the same base, you take away the powers. And this is the power of 1. So you're just taking 1 away from the powers. Okay, so we've now found out what y is. Now we're going to differentiate to find dy by dx. So dy by dx would be equal to, we'll bring the power down and reduce the power by 1. So 7 times 3 is 21, so 21x, and then reduce the power by 1, so that'll be squared. And then now we've got minus 9x squared, so we're going to bring the power down, so minus 9 times 2 is minus 18, and then x, and then we're going to reduce the power by 1, it was 2, then it'll go down to 1, so we'll just write it like that, and that's it. We'll find what dy by dx is, 21x squared minus 18x. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Okay, so our next question, we've been given that y is equal to x bracket 4x minus 3 close brackets x plus 2 close brackets. So we need to expand these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the two brackets and then I'll times everything by x. You could expand in a different order. You could do x times everything in this bracket, get that, and then times it by everything in that bracket. But I'm just going to expand the two brackets to begin with. So I'm going to write y equals, and I'm just going to put the x at the front there and then open up our brackets and let's expand the brackets. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times 2 would be plus 8x. Minus 3 times x is minus 3x. And then finally, minus 3 times 2 would be minus 6. So we've expanded those two brackets. Now let's simplify it. So we've still got our x in front there. We've got 4x squared. Then we've got 8x, take away 3x. That's going to be 5x. So plus 5x. And then we've got our minus 6 on the end. Now we're going to multiply everything in the bracket by x. So y would be equal to x times 4x squared would be 4x cubed. X times 5x would be plus 5x squared, and x times minus 6 would be minus 6x. So that's fantastic. So we've multiplied everything together. Now we need to find dy by dx. So dy by dx, when we differentiate, we get, bring the power down, so 4 times 3 is equal to 12, x, and then reduce the power by 1, so it'll be squared. Then we've got 5, we're going to times that by 2, so it'll be plus 10x, and reduce the power by 1, so it'll be then 1, so we'll just write it as 10x. And then finally, if we differentiate minus 6x, we just get minus 6, and that's it. And that's it, we've found dy by dx. It's equal to 12x squared plus 10x minus 6. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, our next question, we've been given that y is equal to 3/4 x squared brackets x minus 8 close brackets, and we've been asked to find dy by dx. So we want to differentiate this. Now before we differentiate, we're going to expand our brackets. So let's write out y equals 3/4 x squared, then in brackets x minus 8 close brackets. So we're going to times everything in this bracket by 3/4 x squared. So y would be equal to, so 3/4 x squared times x would be 3/4 x cubed. Then we're going to do 3/4 x squared times minus 8. What's going to be minus? And then we're just going to actually do 3/4 times 8. And 3/4 times 8 is equal to 6. So it'll be 6x squared. Or remember, it's a calculator question, so you could just do 3/4 times minus 8 and you get minus 6. And then you've got your x squared. So we've expanded our brackets. Now let's differentiate. So dy by dx would be equal to, we'll bring down the power. So 3/4 times 3 would be 9/4. So 9/4. And then x, and reduce the power by 1, so then be squared, and then minus, and then 6 times 2 is 12, so minus 12x, and then we're going to reduce the power by 1, so it was 2, when it goes down by 1 it'll just be 1, so that's it. So dy by dx is equal to 9/4 x squared minus 12x. Okay, and let's look at our last question. Okay, so our last question, we've been given that y is equal to 3x minus 1, close brackets, x plus 3, close brackets squared, and we've been asked to find dy by dx. So before we differentiate this, we want to expand our brackets. Now let's just have a look at this. We've got 3x minus 1, and then we've got x plus 3 squared. That means we're doing x plus 3 times itself. So y equals, I'm just going to write it out, 3x minus 1, close brackets, and then we've got this bracket times itself, so x plus 3, and then again x plus 3, because we've got that bracket times itself, so you're going to write it out twice. Now we need to expand these three brackets. So y is equal to, and I'm going to expand these two to begin with, so I'm going to keep the 3x minus 1 at the front. And when you expand these two brackets, you're going to get x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, plus another 3x, that's going to be plus 6x, and then plus 9. You should be at this stage, whenever you're doing GCSE Further Maths, be able to expand those brackets quite easily. Okay, now we're going to expand these brackets. So y is equal to, so 3x times x squared is 3x cubed. 3x times 6x would be plus 18x squared. And 3x times 9 would be plus 27x. So we've multiplied everything by 3x. Now we want to multiply everything here by negative 1. So negative 1 times x would be minus x squared. Negative 1 times 6x would be minus 6x. And negative 1 times 9 would be minus 9. So we've expanded the brackets. Now let's simplify. So y is equal to, so looking at the x cubed term, so it's just 3x cubed. Then let's have a look at the x squared term. So 18x squared take away x squared, that's going to be plus 17x squared. Then in terms of the x terms, we've got 27x take away 6x, that's going to be plus 21x. And then finally that minus 9 on the end. So that's fantastic. We found out what y is. Now we need to differentiate to find out what dy by dx is. So dy by dx. So we're just going to scroll down a little bit here. And let's bring down the powers and reduce the powers by 1. So 3 times 3 is equal to 9. Then x. And then we're going to reduce the power by 1. So that'll be squared. And then here we've got 17 times 2. So that'll be plus 34. X, and then reduce the power by 1, so it'll be 1, so I'm just going to write 34x. And then if we differentiate 21x, we get plus 21. And then if we differentiate minus 9, we get 0. So that's it. So dy by dx is equal to 9x squared plus 34x plus 21. And that's it. So in this video, we've looked at how to differentiate, where we've needed to do some rearranging before we actually differentiate. And that's it.